Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. I'm your host, ArmaniTalks. In this channel, I'm helping you level up your communication skills. In this episode, I'm going to be answering the question, can anyone be funny? A couple of months back, I ended up writing an email to my subscribers and sending it. And the next day, I get an email back from this girl named Amy, who's like, "Yo, Armani, I'm not gonna lie. I'm on a lot of these different newsletters, but hands down, you are one of the funniest newsletters that I'm on. And more specifically, your email yesterday was top-notch comedy." And at first I was like, yo man, she finds me funny, cool. And then I thought, wait a minute. The email that I sent yesterday was actually a pretty serious email. What's she talking about? I'm funny. Is she viewing my emails as some kind of joke? So I respond back to her. I was like, which part did you find funny? And then she responds back to me. She says, well, there was this one line in your email where you brought up the word Toastmasters. And, it reminded me of a moment when I was a little kid and my papa, aka grandpa, we used to have a lot of these memories. And she starts sharing this story regarding toast that her grandpa used to do. And notice what's happening. This word that was on my email sparked a thought, which was a humorous thought, and she tied in those laughs back with that word on my email, and she's tying in humor with the superset of the email. What I'm trying to say is that I wasn't trying to make her laugh, yet I did. This ties in very well with the lesson from a couple of years back. This is when I was in college in University of South Florida, and on this particular day, there were a lot of comedians coming to the show. And one of the comedians was Kevin Hart. Now, mind you, this is before Kevin Hart's massive box office success. At the time of this show, you could even argue that he was a failed actor. I mean, a lot of us, we knew him as the guy from Soul Plane, or whatever. The funny guy that was headlining was Bruce, like the big dude. So as Kevin Hart was telling a lot of his jokes, there was a segment of the audience that was laughing, but a lot of the members in the audience were disengaged. You could tell they had the body language of, all right, when's Bruce coming on? And if you fast forward to nowadays, Kevin Hart from back then was using a lot of the same jokes that he is now. But nowadays, all eyes are glued onto him. He is the headline, and no one's saying, oh, well, I'm waiting for the big guy to come on. They're laughing at exactly what he's saying. Same jokes, by the way. Not all of the same, but there's a few ones that I remember vividly from USF all the way till now. So what's going on here? I mean, what exactly is humor? One second, I am generating laughs, even though when I'm not trying to. And other moments, guys like Kevin Hart, who gets paid to make people laugh, sometimes is not able to, but in other cases is able to with the same exact jokes. What this goes on to show is that anyone can be funny. You see what I'm saying? Anyone can be funny. It's just a matter of evaluating humor through a less logical lens. A lot of the time when we think of humor, we think of, is this funny? Is this not funny? Rather than allowing humor to be something that we observe more. One of the best ways to prove to yourself that, yo, I'm a pretty funny guy, is to recall 3 moments from your life when you made someone laugh. Armani, man, that's gonna be difficult because I really don't consider myself a funny guy. I don't think I've ever made someone laugh. Impossible. If you ask the question, think of some moments when I made someone laugh. This is when the subconscious mind starts to get to work. And randomly, throughout the next couple of days, you're going to be flashed with different moments of when you made someone laugh. And in moments like this, we could ask ourselves, was I trying to make them laugh? And surprisingly, the staggering answer is, a lot of the times, no. We weren't. It's sort of like the same situation that happened with me and one of my email subscribers. So when we prove to ourselves that we can make others laugh, that's when, surprisingly, we start to become more curious about humor. This is when we can engage the logical side, because the logical side is going to say, so what? Who cares if you're a funny guy? Comedy, humor, it's not going to pay the bills. While Kevin Hart will beg to disagree, but let's say you're not trying to become a comedian. The logical side is going to say, listen, if you want me to bump humor up in the order of importance, you got to give me something practical. Can something practical happen? Yes, in many ways. Humor, if you can make someone laugh, I don't care what you say next, they are paying attention. So one thing that you're able to do, let's say you're a coaching client, is if you could add humor into your game, you're much more likely for compliance, much more likely for leadership. This is one practical aspect. Another practical aspect, let's say you have a speech coming up, and right before, you don't have to be laughing nonstop, hysterically, like a madman, but you smile. Or you recall a moment when you made someone laugh. Immediately, you'll notice different physical sensations in the body. So another practical value for humor is that it's capable of mitigating the number one fear on the planet, speech anxiety. Talk about practicality. All right, the logical mind's gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna bump it up into the order of importance, but can you just give me one more example, please? Thick skin. Humor allows us to feel more bulletproof. If we, let's say, run a media company, a business, we get a bad online review, humor will allow us to not personalize it, but that doesn't mean it just bounces off. When we don't personalize it, it's much more capable of being valued. Is this a good opinion that I can take feedback from? Or is this a bad opinion that I can discard? So humor, as a business owner, allows us to deal with negative reviews without becoming unbothered. So can anyone become funny? The answer is yes. And a lot of the times, it's more about waking up. Humor is a lot like poetry. Like let's say you're in love or something like that. A lot of the times, the poetry can just seamlessly flow out. You're not just like, all right, well, let me write in these sort of paragraphs what I admire about this other person. It flows out. Similarly, with humor, it flows out. It's sort of like the dirty dish example. At a natural state, the dish is not dirty. The dish is clean. However, there's a lot of dirt that's on top of it. So we don't discard the glass and we're like, oh, well, it's a dirty dish. Instead, we wipe it off and understand that the dish was clean all along. Similarly, with someone who's wondering, can I be funny? It really comes down to making ourselves aware that we've already been funny, scrubbing the dirt off. And once we start making ourselves aware, that's when the logical mind is like, so what? And the more practicality that we give comedy in terms of our life, the more that we start to rewire the reticular activating system to look out for humor. That's when we start to place more importance on humorous content, which allows us to feel further amplified in terms of humor. And that's when the beautiful loop begins of we've been funny all along, logic has been activated, and we are rewiring our perception to be on the alert for more humor. Humor is hands down one of the most powerful parts regarding communication skills. It takes care of so many different things, and it's definitely one of the things that should be leveraged if we're trying to become more persuasive. So ask yourself deep inside, am I a funny person? And prove to yourself that you are. Thank you for joining the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel, and I'll catch you on the next episode.